Impromptu speaking. All right, Ryan. In this segment, it's an actual debating thing that happens at tournaments. It's called impromptu speaking. I'm going to give you 1 minute to think and 2 minutes to talk.
Okay, so I chose the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, which is a quote from Franklin D. Roosevelt. I chose this because I know from my own life experience that being afraid of something, fear is the greatest obstacle that there is towards learning and making progress and succeeding. And I know this from my own personal experience. Um, it took me, I didn't get my full driver's license until I was probably about almost 30 years old because I was terrified of driving. And so when most people would get their G1 at 16, yes, I did the written test. I failed the first time. I did the second time I passed, but then it took me almost 10 years before I did my G2 test because I was so terrified of getting in the car and getting in an accident, getting hurt. That thought completely crippled me in terms of making progress in driving. And eventually, when I went to university, I did. I enrolled in young drivers, and of course, all the other students were much younger than me. I was the old person there, and I went through the driving course, and it was absolute hell because I was so terrified during my driving practice that I kept making mistakes. And the teacher even basically told me that he didn't think I would be able to make it when I did my G2 test. Um, so I eventually did the G2 test. I succeeded, but again, it took me another 5 or so years before I accidentally went for my G3 for my G because I was so terrified. And that fear made this whole progress that should have been done by the time I was 18 or 19 took me almost half my life. Um, so by that example, being afraid of something and not giving in to just trying something out and being open more than anything else, I believe, is not taking that opportunity to try and fail. That's the greatest obstacle to learning and succeeding.
You are an amazing public speaker, Ryan, and you do a lot of things naturally that I teach the debaters in public speaking. Some techniques like juxtaposition and paint the world and chain linking. I hear it in your speeches and storytelling. Good for you. Nice job.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the Germans have a proverb for this. They say fear makes the wolf bigger than he is. And
Mm-hmm.
it's true. We cripple ourselves with fear and paranoia. It's one of those things that inhibition um, that holds us back and stops us from being the full person that we're supposed to be. And it reminds me of, I think, what my dad used to say is that don't concern yourself with all the people trying to constrict you or put you in a box. We put ourselves in a box, worst of all.
Yep.
We limit ourselves, we shackle ourselves because of fear and insecurities. Okay, Ryan, we are on to the next segment of our podcast. Let's